the Nephilim hybrid species that inhabited the earth. Nephilim and fallen angels were real according to countless ancient texts. The Nephilim were a race of giants who came to dominate before the Great Flood. These mysterious beings are referred to in ancient texts as giants, descendants from the fallen angels. They were the product of illicit relations between fallen angels and human women before the flood and Noah's Ark. The word Nephilim is the untranslated pronunciation of untranslated Hebrew Nephilim, fallen feller or tyrant or bully, giant, and in some English translation the Nephilim are referred to as giants. Interestingly, in the Greek Septuagint, Nephilim was used to describe giants. However, the name Nephilim is also used frequently when describing a race of giants who inhabited Canaan at the time of the Israelite conquest according to Numbers 13:33. However, there is considerable confusion surrounding these mysterious beings, which according to ancient texts were real and inhabited earth in the distant past. Looking at ancient texts, we'll notice that the Hebrew Bible, the word Nephilim, occurs on two occasions, both times in the Torah, the first one being in Genesis 6, the Genesis 6 giants, Nephilim, Genesis 6, 1-4, just before the story of Noah's Ark, and the second is Numbers 13, 32-33, when spies sent to Canaan reported seeing fearsome giants. Genesis 6:4, the Nephilim were in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bore children to them, the same were the mighty men that were of old, the men of renown. Numbers 13:33 says, and there we saw the Nephilim, the sons of Anak, who come of the Nephilim, and we were in our sight as grasshoppers, and so we were in their sight. Looking at the definition of the Nephilim, it's hard to understand the nature of these beings, since Genesis 6:4 makes it hard to understand and differentiate whether these beings are in fact the sons of God, quote unquote, or their offspring who are the mighty men of old, men of renown. It's perhaps obvious to interpret the Nephilim as how they are described, a hybrid race between two distinct beings. This leads us to one of the most important and controversial questions when talking about the Nephilim. Were they a hybrid extraterrestrial race? Well, according to the above facts, the answer is rotund yes. Most authors will firmly agree that the Nephilim were in fact a hybrid race between the fallen angels called the Benai Ha-Elohim, sons of God, in Hebrew, meaning that these beings were not natives to earth, but were in fact heavenly beings, descendants of the fallen angels. Interestingly, in many ancient religious texts, the Nephilim are referred to as giants or titans, while many other ancient texts have failed to explain what these beings were. In the Bible, it clearly states, and is used as a traditional interpretation, that heavenly beings, quote unquote, mated with humans, an extremely controversial claim rejected by many. In the book of Enoch, the following text is used to describe the Nephilim. It happened after the sons of men had multiplied in those days, that daughters were born to them, elegant and beautiful. And when the angels, the sons of heaven, beheld them, they became enamored of them, saying to each other, come, let us select for ourselves wives from the progeny of men, and let us beget children. Then their leader, Samiaza, said to them, I fear that you may perhaps be indisposed to the performance of this enterprise, and that I alone shall suffer for so grievous a crime. But they answered him and said, we all swear, and bind ourselves by mutual execrations, that we will not change our intention, but execute our projected undertaking. Then they swore all together, and all bound themselves by mutual execrations. Their whole number was 200, who descended upon Ardis, which is the top of Mount Hermon. Now that mountain therefore was called Armon, because they had sworn upon it, and bound themselves by mutual execrations. Mount Armon or Mount Hermon derives its name from the Hebrew word herem, a curse. And these are the names of their chiefs: Samyaza, who was their leader, Urak Baramil, Akilibil, Tamil, Ramuel, Danel, Zakil, Saraknial, Asael, Armers, Batraal, Anan, Zavebe, Samsavel, Artael, Turel, Yomael, Arazial. These were the prefects of the 200 angels, and the remainder were all with them. And I'm still reading from the book of Enoch. Then they took wives, each choosing for himself whom they began to approach, and with whom they cohabited, teaching them sorcery, incantations, and the dividing of roots of trees. And the women brought forth giants, whose stature was each 300 cubits. These devoured all which the labor of men produced, until it became impossible to feed them, when they turned themselves against men in order to devour them, and began to injure birds, beasts, reptiles, and fishes, to eat their flesh one after another, and to drink their blood and their flesh one after another, or one another's flesh. According to R.H. Charles, notes that this phrase may refer to the destruction of one class of giants by another. And continuing with the book of Enoch, then the earth reproved the unrighteous. Moreover, Azazel taught men to make swords, knives, shields, breastplates, the fabrication of mirrors, and the workmanship of bracelets and ornaments, the use of paint, the beautifying of the eyebrows, the use of stones of every valuable and select kind, and all sorts of dyes, so that the world became altered. Impiety increased, fornication multiplied, and they transgressed and corrupted all their ways. Amazarak taught all the sorcerers, the dividers of roots. Armers taught the solution of sorcery. Barkayal taught the observers of the stars. Akibil taught signs. Tamils taught astronomy. And Azaradel taught the motion of the moon. And men, being destroyed, cried out, and their voice reached to heaven. This is from Enoch 6:7. From all of the above mentioned, we can understand that while there are numerous documents making reference to the Nephilim, it's clear that these beings were not natives to Earth and were in fact a hybrid species, only half human in nature. And this is Unbedded Reality. Please leave your comments. Thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support, and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.